Some of us weren't raised in families that healed their trauma. We were raised in families that normalized it. Families who smiled through the pain, laughed in the middle of chaos, wore struggle like it was part of their personality. And somewhere along the way, surviving became the standard. But what happens when you realize you don't want to just survive? What happens when you want more? Without guilt, without shame, and without waiting for everything to be perfect. This episode is about breaking free from inherent struggle and reclaiming your right to joy, rest, and peace, even if nothing around you has changed yet. Welcome to the Powerfully You podcast, where we turn emotional wounds into spiritual power and help you stop people pleasing, start living your truth, and finally feel whole again. Today's episode is called Healing from Family Survival Trauma When Struggle Becomes Identity. Because for so many people, struggle wasn't just something they went through, it was something they were taught to become, to wear, to endure without complaint. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about how survival gets passed down and how we start choosing something different. If this episode speaks to your soul, take a second and like, subscribe, or share it with someone who is still learning how to be more than what they came from. When survival becomes personality. For some, growing up meant learning how to laugh through dysfunction. It meant watching adults crack jokes in the middle of financial stress. It meant birthday parties with unpaid bill money. It meant treating poverty like an identity instead of a situation. But underneath all that resilience was usually something else: unprocessed pain, avoided responsibility, generations of people who didn't know how to ask for help. When survival becomes the norm, it is easy to start believing if you're not struggling, you must not be doing it right. And that belief, it doesn't just stay in childhood, it follows you into adulthood, into how you work, how you love, and how you allow yourself to rest. The fear of becoming what you escape. There's this quiet fear a lot of people carry. If I start accepting where I'm at, I might get stuck here. If I let myself feel joy without having money, I'm settling. If I'm okay, maybe I'll stop trying to grow. It's the fear of becoming the people who came before us, the ones who smiled through struggle but didn't do anything to change it, the ones who coped with substances, distractions, or denial. But here's the truth: there's a difference between coping and healing, between pretending you're okay and actually learning to be okay, even when things are still hard. Letting yourself feel one good thing today doesn't mean you're settling. It means you're choosing to hold complexity, that it's possible to want change and still find peace right where you are. Claiming joy without denial. Joy doesn't mean you're ignoring the hard stuff. Joy doesn't mean you're giving up. Joy doesn't mean you stop working towards a better life. Joy just means giving yourself a break from self punishment. It means your worth is no longer tied to your struggle. It means you don't have to earn your way through happiness. You can want your bills paid and still let yourself dance. You can feel pressure and still enjoy your food. You can be in between jobs, in between seasons, in between answers, and still treat yourself like someone who deserves softness. You're allowed to have a moment of peace, even if the storm hasn't passed yet. Devil's advocate. But won't that make me complacent? Let's be honest. A lot of us think if we get too comfortable, we'll get stuck. That if we let ourselves breathe, we'll stop pushing. That if we feel joy without earning it, we'll lose our edge. But what kept but what kept past generations stuck wasn't joy. It was numbing. It wasn't acceptance, it was avoidance. The truth is, you are not settling. You are self regulating. You are not pretending everything is fine. You're creating space to breathe while it's not. That's not weakness. That's emotional maturity. That's what breaking the cycle actually looks like. Reflective moment. Pause for a second, take a breath, ask yourself, what messages did I learn about struggle growing up? What am I afraid might happen if I allow myself to feel good right now? What small joys can I allow today without pretending everything is okay? How would my life change if I believe I'm struggling and still whole? You are allowed to feel both. You are allowed to carry both. That's what healing really looks like. Final soul truth. Struggle might be what you came from, but it is not who you are. Peace doesn't mean you stop growing. It means you stop suffering to prove you're worthy. You don't have to be exhausted to deserve softness. You don't have to be in pain to be taken seriously. You are allowed to feel joy, even if nothing is fixed yet. You are not your family's trauma. You are not your bank account. You are not your survival story. You are more. And you are allowed to feel like more right now in the thick of it. This podcast exists for those of us learning how to be free in a world that only taught us how to survive. Because the truth is, we are not broken. We are becoming, and we are doing it together. Thank you for listening to this episode of Powerfully You, and I'll see you next time.